Hey everybody, John here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today in the first part of our Wheels of Aurelia playthrough. We are doing Ending A today. Also going to be grabbing a few extra achievements along the way, but quick introduction to this game. Start up a new game and pick any car. I recommend grabbing the third car simply because it's the fastest out of all the starting cars. You're going to start off in this introduction chapter, which basically is going to give you the outline of the story. You're going to play as this one woman in a car, whatever car you chose. Left stick does the steering, and then the right trigger is going to be your accelerate button. The car is going to move at all times, and you can pretty much only decide to go faster. You can't go slower, unfortunately, which will play into later playthroughs. But for now, just get through this. Right stick is going to cycle through your conversation choices. There are a few playthroughs that have specific conversation choices that you need to go through, but for this first one, don't worry about that for now. Just focus on driving on the road. You can crash into stuff if you want to. It has no bearing since the car doesn't take any damage or anything, but just get to the end. The path is going to be pretty linear with a few branches along the way, and I'll point those out as we go along. So just get through this first chapter, and once you get to the other side, it should turn back into daytime, and we can get started with the actual game. Another thing to keep in mind is you can actually skip this intro in your subsequent playthroughs, so you just have to get through it this one time, and then you can just ignore it during every other playthrough. So that's always good. So just get to this disco store, and then we should be on with the main story. Alright, you should be introduced to this woman. Her name is Olga. She'll be the first of many companions along our travels, and basically you can talk to her as you drive along. Remember, the right stick cycles through the conversation. You can do that if you want to. The story is pretty non-substantial in terms of achievements, but the most important thing is once you see that sign that has two different forks in the road you can take, make sure you take the right fork, and that will allow you to go to this part of town called Bracciano. You'll be introduced to your first intermission, which is going to be a conversation when you're not driving. Just hold the A button to fast forward through it. There's no choices to be made, at least not during this playthrough. This random dude's going to challenge you to a race. You actually don't have to do well in the race, just ignore it. Once you get to the next fork, make sure you take the left path. Remember to look for those blue signs, so you do have to pay attention while driving. So take the left path and then progress through here until you get to the next intermission. You should lose the race since you went in an opposite direction, but more importantly, you should meet this other woman who is going to give you this van. So that should unlock the first car. There is an achievement for unlocking every single type of car, and there's 13 total. You start off with 4, and you have to find the other 9 throughout the story, but we'll point those out as we go along. So just drive the van all the way to the end. You should reach Via Reggio and then have another conversation. Just hold A to get through it, and that is actually the end of the first playthrough. Lots of driving. I cut out all that boring stuff and only kept the choices in, also so I wouldn't spoil it, but you can read up on the game if you want to, or if you're like me and just in it for the achievements, just fast forward through all that nonsense. I'm pretty sure there's a good story there, but I couldn't be bothered enough to pay attention. But once you get to the credits, just hit the A button to get them scrolling. You should get the achievement for getting the A ending for 15 gamer score. You should have also beat the game in about 14 minutes, which should give you a second achievement for 90 gamer score. Don't worry about that one. There are endings that actually take less time to beat than this one. So if you don't unlock that in your first one, you might get it in your second or third. And more importantly, you get the road trip achievement for beating the game for the first time for 30. And that's all there is to it.